Let's go. Let's go. Let's have a fun video today. Let's go. Who's ready for some Garrett Nussmeier talk tonight? I'm so excited to talk about Nuss and TJ and Max and Miles and where does Walker Howard fit in all this down the road? We did the video earlier today on the transfer portal. So obviously, any video we do with Eric Gilbert obviously gets you guys excited. It elicits a reaction. And in today's video, we saw Mike Woods enter the transfer portal from Arkansas. So we're going to talk about the future of LSU football in tonight's video. So go on ahead, give me a Go Tigers in the comment section, the live chat. Let me know where you're watching from because I really need you guys. I really, really, really need you guys tonight. Because something just happened to me. I was so the way that I do the videos that I do is every weekday, and a lot of you know this already, but every weekday we release a new video at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. She's okay. So we release a video every day at 5:30 Central, every weekday at 5:30 Central. And during the off season, we're going to be doing these film studies on Saturday. And Josh, thank you for your super chat. I promise I'll get to it. And we're going to be doing these film studies on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Central. So you got the live stream on Tuesday night at 7 Central. We got stream Saturday night at 7 Central. And I put film studies for now because the film study from the spring game this Sunday at 7 Central was a big hit. It was the most live viewers we've had outside of a post-game video. So I did the video on Mike Woods and Eric Gilbert at 5:30. And then Haley gets off at work at 5:30. We pick her up and we come back and we're moving. And for those that don't know, dogs during rest, when older dogs have to get used to a new routine, they can have seizures. And what happened right at the end of the video today, Booger had a seizure right in front of my girlfriend, and we thought she died. And I don't know. It was, but she didn't. And I mean, I wasn't a dramatic pause. But anyway, she's fine now. And we rushed her to the hospital, and she came back, and she was fine. So she's okay. Lucky enough, where we moved, we were able to get to a hospital quickly. So she's fine. She's in there eating food. She's okay. But I don't know. But it's fine. So I know. And I'm gonna get back to it. But that is what happened, and that's why we started a little late. Normally, you know, I wear an LSU shirt, and the merch company that I'm working with is mailing the shirts. I know you guys wanted merch and all that, but Book's fine. She's fine. She's fine. I promise you. But that's why we started a little bit late because, we were able to rush her, and she was I don't know, I don't want to talk about it too much, but everything's fine. I promise you everything's fine. And it was tough. It was It was tough to see, but Boog is okay. But, Haley is obviously shook, and, I was still a little shook, but it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Anyway, we move on to LSU football. And any one of you, I mean, most of you guys do have dogs, so you understand how that stuff feels. What?
Baby.
Oh, I just wanted them to know because they
She's eating all her food.
She's eating all her food, but this is a real thing that just happened.
Yeah, it did.
And I don't want you guys.
It's okay, babe. It's okay. She's in there being bad as we speak, kicking her food off the plate. So she's feeling okay.
But I promise you, there's people in my family that are actually really great actors, but I want you to know that all this stuff is real. It is so what happened, we read and we looked up on it, and right when we pulled up to the animal hospital, exactly, when a dog is in an environment that they're not normally in, especially an older dog, while we've been moving with all the boxes and all that stuff, Boog is very routine based. So
okay.
Now she's coming over. I don't want this.
Come here, babe. Come here, Mama.
Put her up for a second. Just a half a second. I'm going to turn the slide off.
Look at her fat belly now.
Okay.
Let her roam around. Let her see what she wants to do.
I know this is a weird live stream and all that.
But they would want to know.
Yeah, but she's back, and now I'm fine. But
is he daddy?
She's fine. She's fine. So Boog may or may not make an appearance. We're letting her get her routine.
I'm just gonna let her walk around.
Let her walk around, and she might
take her for a little walk.
She might show up a little bit later. Johnny. She wants to be a movie star. So as Zachary says, his dog had a seizure. So it's
hard on the older
It's
dogs.
very, very normal. It's something that thank you, Max, for your super chat. And that's what I don't want to happen.
No,
obviously, I want super chats to happen because that's what I do for a job. But I want you to know that is not what I wanted to happen. And if I would have just canceled the live stream tonight, which is what I wanted to do, and then say it's because I didn't want you guys to panic. So, it's fine. So yeah. And, I get a bunch of messages from you guys checking in on Boog, and, it just sucks. It really does. But anyway.
Where'd you go now, girl?
Now that she's healthy and I got to see her walk around, this is the first time she's walked around, and this all happened so fast. So we were doing the live chat at 5:30, and then at like 5:40-ish towards the end of the video, I scream. She's screaming at the top of her lungs, and we jumped to the car. I went full Crash Bandicoot Grand Theft Auto in our new car. Car was about to tip over.
I want to show you how this whole plate was
good. So Riley, I hate your first time watching the video. So we will get back to LSU football chatter. So we did the video earlier today, and look, I've always shared this about players is that, sometimes what we do when we talk about like LSU football and we talk about just players, we view them as assets. We view them as not people. And that happens a lot. And I always try my best to remember that. I really do not like I really do not like criticism. And Josh, thank you for your sticker super chat. I really don't like doing it. Okay, I want to say with overwhelming confidence if a player is struggling or not, because I love LSU. I was a player in high school, obviously not an LSU player. I was not good enough for that, but. Uh, but what was fascinating is, we have to remember that players also have feelings. And what I think is going to happen with college football over the next couple of years is we're going to see more players, hit the transfer portal or try to explore somewhere else to um, with the NIL and all that stuff. So what I want to focus on is how these players feel is not anything new. It was just 10 years ago, like let's say 2010, and you're buried on the depth chart. Well, remember, and I think we tend to forget this, guys like Zach Mettenberger, guys like Cam Newton, obviously pre Joe Burrow, Zach Mettenberger was the best LSU quarterback. Okay. And what happened was Zach Mettenberger had to go to a JUCO and then come back to LSU. Cam Newton had to go to Blinn College before he went to Auburn. So what happened in those scenarios is that there was a penalty if you decided to leave a school. All right. Now that penalty is no longer. And it is immediate that you can go somewhere else. Okay. Now, this is what's really fascinating about Zach Mettenberger compared to what we're dealing with now is that Mettenberger made the right decision. Cam Newton made the right decision. Now, imagine if Met could have immediately transferred over to LSU from where he was at Georgia. A whole lot would be different. The same thing with Cam Newton now. So those same players who were disgruntled then and wanted to go elsewhere, that feeling never really changed. So what I want people to understand is, yes, maybe the old school mentality that, stick it out, don't transfer is a real thing. But at the same time, players have always been disgruntled. Players have not always been happy where they are. And what changed the way that I view this situation was when I actually lived with LSU football players. And I got to see and hear their frustrations with not only LSU football, but what the binding situation that they were in. So it's wild. It's absolutely wild to think about. Whenever you sign over your rights to play college football for a school, you are signed in and you didn't have the mobility that you have now. And it's just the world that we live in. It's funny because we as a society aren't as mobile as we used to be. We do so much more stuff from home, right? But overall, as far as social mobility, as far as going to a new job or going to a new team, you see what's happened. College football teams no longer have the control that they have over the players. And whoever adjusts to that the quickest are the teams that are going to succeed. Okay? We need a drinking game every time Carter mentions he lived with football players. Well, you know what, Kane? I don't actually say that to like impress because I never actually name some of the football players that I live with. Well, I think once because we were talking about them at the time. I wasn't in their social circle. I was just in their atmosphere, and I would talk to them occasionally, and it was pretty wild. It was absolutely wild. Is some of the stuff that they would say. So I share those experiences because not many people have those experiences. And not many people have the experience of being an outsider living with those said LSU football players. So it's very fascinating. Thanks to everyone that PC, your avatar is actually a dog. So I understand how much. We say out of DC, we say out of Max. Your Siberian Husky, we say hi to him or her, Christian. Thank you so much. So I appreciate, Josh, those super chats. They really do help out. I thank you so much. And I know Kane is probably saying behind the screen, Carter, quit crying. Get off your BS. Your dog is fine. Get back to it. I promise you, that was the scariest moment of my human existence. The scariest moment. And I'll never forget it. And, Boog is fine. Boog is fine for now. So, Kane just wants an excuse to drink. I had a dog. It was, oh, Josh, I'm sorry. I know you miss your baby girl. But here's the thing. Boog is my first dog. Okay. And I never knew. I didn't grow up around dogs. So I want to see her for a second. Just a brief second. Just brief. And once I had a Boog, she's fine. Okay. That's enough. That's enough. I don't want her around this light.
Oh, she's fine.
She's fine.
I'm going to let her go walk outside for a little bit.
Or you close this door, baby?
Sure.
Thank you. So, yeah, it's, the new place and all that stuff. But everything's good. I don't want to start crying again. So, there were some comments earlier this week about what I said about TJ Finley. Okay. And look, I have been called everything when it comes to talking about TJ Finley. I've been called a guy that is biased towards TJ Finley. I've also been called a guy that's trying to run TJ Finley off. Okay. Josh Six again. I had a half Chihuahua, half Dachshund. She passed away a couple years ago because of a heartworm. She was a cute dog. Her name, Baby Girl. Her name was Baby Girl. I like that. We actually call Boog Baby Girl from time to time. So, Josh, thank you for your support. But you know what's fascinating? We were talking about the LSU players. What really blew me away, though, was whenever we were – crap, I forgot what I was saying. I was reading Josh's super chat. But anyway, someone remind me what I'm saying. My mind's all over the place. It was Garrett Nussmeier, TJ Finley. So here's the thing about TJ Finley, all right? And yes, it was just one spring game. And yes, the defense knows what you're doing. And yes, spring games are very misleading. But what I want to bring up about TJ Finley is that if a quarterback turns the football over consistently, okay? If they turn the football over consistently, they cannot play. It's a non-negotiable. You cannot turn the football over. You just can't do it. It's something that oftentimes leads to your demise if you lose the turnover battle. But there is a caveat to TJ Finley's interceptions, okay? Not only does he have a tendency to throw interceptions, he throws interceptions that oftentimes get returned for a lot of yards, okay? So it's not just the picks, it's the kind of picks that he throws. Now, Garrett Nussmeier had horrible interceptions as well, but that does not change a universal rule that I've always had. True freshman quarterbacks should never start their first year. It is a completely different game. Your life is changing. The position is far more complex than any other position on the field. There's a certain maturity you got to have as a quarterback. And with the pressure of going to school and understanding a playbook and carrying an entire multi-million-dollar university, it's just too much. I don't like true freshman quarterbacks playing. That's why going into last season, I was not happy with only having Miles Brennan on the roster. Now, it turned out okay. Honestly, all things considered, the fact that we ended up going, 4-3 with true freshman quarterbacks, all things considered, that's fine. Okay, that is perfectly fine. But we also had a lot of things go our way to win those games. And, it's college football, but still, it's not a position you want to ever be in. Okay. Having true freshman backups, because they do true freshman types of things. Okay. So, yes, Garrett Nussmeier threw those picks. He also did some pretty ridiculous things. I can argue the best throw of the day was made by Garrett Nussmeier. His playmaking ability was, fully evident. Whereas TJ Finley's problems were a continuation of what we saw from last season. And until you fix the turnovers, I cannot willingly say you deserve to be the starting quarterback. It's something you just cannot do. And that is where it starts and ends with TJ Finley, okay? Not only are they interceptions, they're also returned for a lot of yards. Now, once again, I love TJ Finley. I love his attitude. I love hearing him in interviews. I think he is a leader. We saw the drive against Arkansas to win the game. We saw all those things. But the turnovers got to get fixed. And what happened on his first interception, and a lot of you saw this on the film study, but I want to bring this up because the interception on third down only happened because on second down, he had a awful throw. And the awful throw wasn't because he made a bad decision. He was actually throwing to the open receiver. It was Jack Mashburn. And it was an easy throw. And sloppy mechanics caused the ball to sail on him, okay? Which is something TJ Finley mentioned in an interview that he needed work on specifically. And he said that publicly in the interview, and it wasn't fixed. So, I want everyone to understand that, when it comes to true freshmen playing, I don't believe any of them should play. I don't think any, let me rephrase that. I don't believe any of them should start. None of them should start. Got to work your way up. Even Mason Smith, okay, who Ed Orgeron said has a separated shoulder. It's probably a good thing. It's probably a good thing he doesn't play a whole lot in year one. And, it's just true. There are some true freshmen at LSU that have huge true freshman seasons. So, Odell Beckham Jr. in 2011 had a pretty nice true freshman season. Obviously, Grant Delpit and Derek Stingley Jr. and Elias Ricks are huge examples of that. But that's not everyone. That's probably one or two players every season. And oftentimes those players are playing defense. So as far as Garrett Nussmeier is concerned, I know his name is in the title. We touch on all different topics. He's not ready. He's not ready now. And he'll be ready in year two to potentially battle whoever the starter is this year going into next season. Because let's say Miles Brennan wins the job and he's decent. Guess what? He has another year of eligibility if he decides to use it. Let's see. Rohan Davies said today on AFR that the out route TJ threw the interception on was the wide receiver's fault. So let's see. It depends on which interception it was. The first interception was on a throw to Derek Davis Jr., and the second interception was a throw to Kayshon Boutte. So, full disclosure, I have recorded part of the film study for Sunday night. The second interception was worse than the first. So I'm guessing that it was Derek Davis Jr.'s fault, but if I'm replaying the interception in my head, it's like, no, that was just not a good throw. So let's go to Christian's Super Chat, and we'll get to your comment in just a second, Justin. Christian said, Jontre Kirkland, wide receiver number 2 this season. So we touched on this in the video from earlier, and if this is a retread from then, guess what? We actually just touched on it. I said Dre Jenkins should be wide receiver number 2. And I'm going to do a deeper video as to why that's the case. So once again, Christian, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little behind on your Super Chat. Jontre Kirkland is really the guy that we should all be cheering for, right? Cliff, I'm glad you told me that. Obviously, Rohan knows way more about the quarterback position and the team than I do, so I'll defer to him. I'll go back and watch both of them. but yeah, to Max's point, TJ has got to tighten up those mechanics. And this is coming from a non-quarterback evaluator. You could tell he does not throw with his body. And sometimes what happens if you have such a big arm, you just rely on that arm. Michael Vick was like that as well. Ryan Mallett is very similar. I think the most common guy that you can relate TJ Finley to is Ryan Mallett. I think that would be the best case scenario for TJ Finley. I don't think he has like Jamarcus Russell type of upside. I think he could be, Ryan Mallett, who was pretty freaking good. But then again, Ryan Mallett had something go his way. So Ryan Mallett went to Michigan. He had to wait his turn at Arkansas. He had to sit out a full season, and then he got to play. TJ Finley had to play 5 starts immediately. It could set you back. It really can. So anyway, we go to Christian. We're moving on. We'll go back to TJ a little bit later, okay? Or if you're super tight, we'll go back to it. So here's why I like Jaray Jenkins as wide receiver number 2, okay? First thing, the spring game was tailor-made for Jontre Kirkland, okay? And the reason why is because, the opposing defense sat into zone coverage, all right? So when opposing defenses are sitting into zone coverage every single time, guess who's going to win? Not the fastest receivers, but the smartest receivers. And Jontre, I've shared this 1,000 times. The dude's football IQ is ridiculous. He knows how to find open spaces in zone coverages, and you could just see it throughout the course of the game. And he also caught the deep pass from Derek Davis Jr. Over Derek Davis Jr. from Max on a 3rd and 19. And I broke down that play in the film study already, and you'll see it on Sunday. It was ridiculous that that happened. But Jontre, a few things about him. Drops are an issue, okay? Are a huge issue. And Josh Shaker for the super chat, the announcement was about Boog. So the drops were a huge issue. And you look at the drop percentage. Trey Palmer had a really bad drop percentage, as did Coy Moore and Jontre Kirkland. So that needs to get fixed if Jontre is going to be the starting wide receiver. Also, Jontre last season had his best game where he accumulated most of his statistics against Vanderbilt. All right. And look, I think we don't need to go too deep into why Vanderbilt was bad, but they were bad. They were the only other SEC team to give up 7 yards per play outside of LSU. And on top of that, the LSU and Vanderbilt were only one of 4 teams that gave up 7 yards per play. So Vanderbilt was so bad defensively that they were LSU bad, but just in the East, and they were just horrible all around. They didn't win a game. And on top of that, one of his touchdowns, I believe, was on a flea flicker or a trick play. So, in actual games, he's not really done a whole lot. However, this could be do or die. He could be feeling the pressure. And 16 catches is still impressive no matter the scenario. So, look, Jontre, of course, is such a huge piece of this team. He leads the locker room chants and the stretch chants and all those different things. But based on what I've seen in actual games, I would prefer Jaray Jenkins be that number 2 wide receiver. And there's a lot of reasons why. They, Mo Funky, thank you so much. I really needed that super chat. Thank you. Excellent work on the first half of the film study. Looking forward to the second half version. Really, really like Max work in the third quarter. So, Max Johnson did some things in the third quarter that makes me believe that I'm going to roll with him as the starting quarterback for the LSU Tigers next season. I'm going to show you why this coming Sunday on the film study. I'm so excited to show you. It's already recorded. I still got to edit it and all that stuff. But yeah. So look, and I want to finish this up on Jontre Mo Funky, and we'll dive deeper into Max Johnson's film study. Jaray Jenkins, he has a high ADOT. Okay, so ADOT is a statistic that's more used in the NFL. But now that college football is becoming more of a passing game, ADOT is average depth of target. All right. So average depth of target, and Christian, please comment. Let me know if I'm answering your question. Okay. ADOT is average depth of target, which means how far can you get down the field and we meaningfully throw you the football. And Jeray Jenkins got a lot of targets down the field. And we're not just talking about targets that were just deep throws just to be deep throws. He also caught a lot of these passes deep down the field. You had the Mississippi State catch, and even though it wasn't that deep, the Florida catch. So he had a high ADOT. He had a high average yards per reception. In fact, LSU's highest rated player, or the leader on the team in average yards per reception, I think per 30 targets, was Jeray Jenkins. He had more yards per reception than even Kayshon Boutte, who is a deep threat assassin. And that was with 3 different quarterbacks. So Jeray Jenkins doesn't drop the ball all that often. Only had 3 drops in 10 games. Average depth of target really high. Average yards per reception really high. Stretches the field. Very similar story to John Trey Kirkland, a guy who came in the class of 2018 as the clear-cut number 3 option. Didn't transfer before 2019. Didn't transfer before 2020 when he really wasn't anywhere close to the depth chart. Had his opportunity to step in against Mississippi State, and he seized that opportunity. I really like Jeray Jenkins as the number 2 wide receiver. And I understand when it comes to new guys, we get, excited about Chris Hilton and Brian Thomas Jr. and Jack Besh and all those guys. But in all actuality, really experienced wide receivers are the ones that win you national championships. And I know we point out, Jamar Chase was a first-year starter, and Terrace Marshall was a first-year starter. But both of them also had 20 receptions in 2019. They played a decent amount in 2019. So I'm a big believer in Jeray Jenkins. The way that I would have the wide receivers set up right now, number 1, I would definitely have, obviously Kayshon. And then my number 2, I would have Jeray. And then my number 3 and number 4s will mix up. And I want to throw something out to you guys before, and Mo Funky, I promise you I'll get to your Max Johnson super chat. But I want to throw this one thing out there. So Garrett Nussmeier's last touchdown pass was to Coy Moore. So what's fascinating wasn't the fact that Coy Moore caught the touchdown pass. It was the fact that he was playing running back at the time. And something that LSU struggled with last season were running backs catching the football out of the backfield. Now, I'm not saying move Coy Moore to running back, but in 2-minute situations where we know we're throwing the football, I would prefer Coy Moore playing running back instead of any of the actual running backs that we have, simply because he is obviously a better receiver than any of those guys. And, Coy Moore is, a guy that played in some crunch time moments last season against Florida and Ole Miss. And he's obviously hungry to play wherever to help out the team. So, it's just a little side thing. We'll get deeper into that on Sunday. So hopefully, Christian, you're able to catch that. Trey, thank you for the kind words on Booger. I was crying like a mug. I'm glad you didn't see that. So let's go to Mo Funky here. Excellent work on the first half of the film study. Now, this is a good point from Carvis. I think Max played well in the second half because it was against a backup defense. And I'm glad you brought that up. Well, here's the thing. Everybody got to play against that backup defense. And everybody did not necessarily light up that backup defense like Max Johnson did. So understand that, yes, quarters are played differently. And yes, teams play quarters differently. And TJ Finley's best drive of the game was stopped because LSU decided to run on 4th and 1 with Coy Moore at running back, which wasn't the smart thing to do, especially considering LSU's starting offensive line had an awful second half in the spring game. And I know one of you asked about Anthony Bradford. I will get to it. Who was it that asked? Justin, you asked about Anthony Bradford. We'll get to him in just a second. So, yes, you can say Max Johnson did this against the backups, which he did. But on the Sunday Night Film Study, I want you to keep this in mind. The touchdown that Max Johnson threw to Jontre Kirkland, all right, that was an actual complex passing pattern. And it was a pattern that Jake Peetz, who used to work at Alabama in 2018, actually took from Alabama last season. It was a play that actually Alabama scored against LSU on. It was a similar concept where Jaleel Billingsley delays his route and he's wide open. And it was the same exact thing. And the reason why that worked, all right, and I promise you, the motions and everything was just like 2020 Alabama. They had Alex Adams. They rotated him in the backfield. And instead of bringing him in motion, they had him run out and run a flat route like a normal running back would. And it caused so much conflict on the defense. Now, if you watch the play in and of itself, it looks as if it was just a wide open play. But the reason why the play worked is because the few plays before that, Max Johnson was balling, okay? Zone read left, zone read right, throw to Jontre over the top of Cam Lewis, who was defending him in man coverage. The ball was on a dime. So, yes, Max's best drive of the day came against the backup defense, but he was also throwing to backup receivers, and he was also running with the 8th-string running back. And the play calling, you could just see Jake Peetz's offense just had more flow in that drive compared to any other drive. Trey, thank you for the Venmo. So, Trey, any topic you want to talk about, we will gladly get to that. And Trey, we were actually, I promise you, I'm not making this up. Me and my girlfriend were talking about some of our best Venmo and Cash App contributors, and obviously you're one of them. And we were talking about, I know he's not here, Esteban. We were talking about Esteban. So, Trey, thank you so much. Any topic you want to get to, let me know. Let's go to Joshua's super chat really quickly here. How about we start a drinking game? Every time someone mentions Eric Gilbert, you take a shot of whatever you're drinking. So we've done that, and Rai, I hope Rai is still alive after that. So yeah, is the buffering bad on your end? I've not seen it. It could be the new internet. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry, Amacat. If your footage is messed up. He threw a couple NFL caliber outs on that drive, and even a nice run where he juked Jacoby and Giller in the backfield and got a first down. Yeah. He also juked Carvis's sleeper player. And Carvis, I'm telling you, Carvis will go to his wedding. All right. When Carvis gets, or you might be married already, Carvis. Carvis, when he says his vows, is going to stop everything and say, babe, hold on. I got to let the world know that Philip Webb is being slept on. And look, Philip Webb had the opportunity on that drive to tackle Max Johnson in the backfield. And you don't even have to tackle him. All you have to do is just touch him. And he couldn't do it. So, Mo Funky, thank you for your super chat. And I'm glad you brought up that drive because I was watching it. I was watching that drive, and I was like, oh, my goodness. I could see what Jake Peetz is trying to do offensively. He's bringing some of that 2019 LSU, but really that drive that drive was very Alabama in 2020-esque, even though Mac Jones couldn't. That drive was very Alabama in 2020-esque, even though Mac Jones couldn't run, Max Johnson could run. You could just see the concepts were very similar. So I'm sorry about the buffering. I don't know what it is. It's been a crazy day. So yeah, I'm really sorry. That's good, Bug.
She's licking her feet.
Good, Bug. So yeah, I'm sorry about buffering issues. I'm shocked. So I went whenever we moved in here, so at our old place, I didn't have to pay for internet. We were able to use someone else's internet with one of those extenders. So obviously, we had to move here. We couldn't get the same rate on our last play. What's up, Roger? Huh? Zachary, hey Carter, Bama is bad at kicking. That's true. So what happened was I went on ahead and got the fastest internet. And what's funny is I've been uploading my videos and it uploads so fast. So I don't understand what the buffering issue is. So I'm sorry about that. I really am. Roger, it's your super chat. Let's go to Trey's super chat who came in on the Venmo. Motherfucker, please let me know if I answered your question fine about Max Johnson's third quarter. It was really good. And I understand backup defense. But I do want to add this in as well. So, based on our video earlier today, okay, we did, I was looking, I was like, oh my God, thank goodness we didn't use the transfer portal. Thank goodness we didn't use the transfer portal on Kendall Daniels. I think about that a lot. I'm like, what were we doing? Were we really going to do that? And the reason why I bring that up is because, well, there's going to be more elite players that enter the transfer portal. Okay. Well, this is what's fascinating about this portal. And Justin, this is going to answer your question some about Anthony Bradford. Okay. So before we get to this nuss throw, because Trey, I want to spend a lot of time on it. And thanks again, Trey, for your super chat. What's fascinating about the portal is there's going to be more great players that enter the transfer portal. Okay, Mike Woods is a real deal deep threat in the SEC. Okay, he's really good. He's probably, if I had to choose between Mike Woods and Jeray Jenkins, who I love, I would probably say Mike Woods is a better receiver. And I think a lot of you would say the same thing. Now, let's say Mike Woods was interested in coming to LSU. Well, I don't think we can use that final slot on a wide receiver. It just doesn't make sense. But that's the thing. I don't think what Mike Woods did is going to be an anomaly. I think it's going to be a more common thing that good players are going to enter the portal knowing that they could play right away, potentially, for a national championship ball club. So it's fascinating. It is so fascinating how much this is going to change. So, to Justin's question from earlier, and I don't want to talk about Bama kickers. Buck Fama. Who said Buck Fama? I'm all about Buck Fama. I am a cat. I could trust you on that. What's fascinating is LSU's offensive line, their starting offensive line, had some really good moments on Saturday, particularly Dare Rosenthal and pass blocking. I thought he did really good against B.J. Ojulari, who is, of course, LSU's most gifted pass rusher. Overall, though, a preview, Ed Ingram had a really rough second half in the LSU spring game. The unit overall still has its issues, but that is not what you should be concerned about, okay? So the first five, we don't know if that first five is actually great. So what have we heard? We heard that Anthony Bradford started stepping up at right guard. So I went back, did the film study, rewatched it. T-Bob shouted out Anthony Bradford in the interview this morning, and I thought Anthony Bradford was fine. I really did. I thought he was okay. If I had to choose between him and Chasen Hines to start at right guard, I would probably choose Anthony Bradford. However, what concerns me is not that first group. It's the second group. The second team offensive line did not have a good day. So, as many of you know, offensive linemen, you only need 5, okay? You only need 5, right? However, those same 5 hardly ever stay healthy. Take, for instance, Landon Dickerson of Alabama. Landon Dickerson wasn't healthy towards the end of the season for LSU. So for Alabama. So that obviously stunk for them, but they had a 5-star backup ready to go, and they didn't miss a beat in the college football playoff with the 5-star backup. So what concerns me is not just the first time, it's the second time. It's that second group. That second group is what you really need. So, the issue isn't so much, hey, can Anthony Bradford start? It's, can we rely on any of these guys on the second unit? Bradford start. It's, can we rely on any of these guys on the second unit? That you just wasn't where it needed to be from the scrimmage. And that's what makes Max Johnson's drive even more impressive, because on his deep touchdown pass to Jontre Kirkland, the pass protection actually broke down. So it's a fascinating thing to see. It really is. Yeah, Leonard, I don't. So the new router they brought in was also new. So I don't know. What do I know? What do I know? And I uploaded a 16-minute video in like 10 minutes earlier, which is absolutely ridiculous. Kendall says the O-line will be fine. The defensive line is just some savages this year. I agree. LSU's defensive line is really good. And here's my thing, and something Orgeron asked himself, is Sony Fanua a guy that should play more? I saw also Ed Orgeron reference Jared Small. Jared Small had a really good day. He had a really, really good day. He looked like an SEC linebacker. I'm not so sure is not an SEC linebacker. And I know normally it's not, wasn't, I think he was a walk-on from Catholic High in Baton Rouge. But, it's something about those Catholic High kids. Clyde was a 3-star, and, he obviously punched above his weight. And Jared Small's doing the same thing. The kid was all over. And something else about Jared Small that I liked, you compare him to Damon Clark, who he with in the spring game. Now, obviously, they have different responsibilities, but Jared Small played with a lot of confidence. He attacked ball carriers, and obviously he had the interception, which was such a bad throw by Nuss. He's a true freshman. Those things happen. But don't just look at the interception. Look at everything else that went along with it. Where did Small go to high school, I wonder? The Catholic High kids, they're always going to rep. Always going to rep. Call out the the ISP. If we keep Deculus at right tackle, I'd say start Bradford and rotate Wire, Hines, and Charles Turner. And I would be down with that, Carvis. Something that was fascinating, though, and I'm glad you brought that up, Carvis. What was an interesting offensive line was LSU went Cam Wire at right tackle, Cam Wire at right tackle, Anthony Bradford at right guard, and then Liam, Ingram, and Rosenthal. Is a very fascinating group. Fascinating group, if you ask me. There's a piece of me that says Cam Wire should, get some looks at right tackle. Austin Deculus has played a lot of football. So it's crazy. Josh says, there you go. Alabama. You in the chat. There you go. Oh, no, we're not going to make this an Alabama chat. Don't bring that up, Roger. Kendall, that's a good point. Imagine what Sabian and Langston get on campus. This might be one of the deepest groups we've ever had. That's true. And I would like to point out, and I know it's not the sexy thing to do. The sexy thing is to say Jaquelin Roy played amazing, which he did. Jason Smith looked good, which he did, considering we know now he has a separated shoulder. Glenn Logan had a decent day. And Joseph Evans was the guy that Ed Orgeron kept bringing up. And you guys saw from the film study this past week, he actually did pretty good. He had a decent game. But Neil Farrell played amazing. He didn't play good. He didn't play great. He played amazing. And you'll see, second half, Neil Farrell on one play put Ed Ingram on his behind in the second half. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And look, this was put up or shut up time for Neil Farrell. And, you look into last season, he didn't even know if he was going to play. He actually thought he wasn't going to play going into last season because his family got hit hard by the pandemic. So it's just one of those things. So, yeah, Neil Farrell had a really good day, and he deserves a lot of credit. He really does. Cade York has had the best day of all. Well, yeah, he's probably the best player on the team. I mean, look, Cade York, 57-yard field goal, so insane against Florida. Damon Clarkson switched to defensive end. Carvis, I like that. I'm down for that. I really am. You go back to 2019, that was the position he played. What Dave Aranda decided to do in 2019 was very innovative. It's I'm not lying. I'm joking about it because comedy is tragedy and tragedy is comedy. I'm glad you didn't see the beginning of the live stream tonight. And Preston's probably rewinding, what is he talking about? But look, what Dave Aranda decided to do in 2019 was interesting. So against Texas, when he knew Texas was throwing to stay in the game, Dave Aranda decided to do a race car package where he would bring in 4 defensive linemen and have them rush the passer. And what happened against Texas was, the pass rushers could not get home to Sam Ehlinger. And that problem continued to happen. LSU just could not get good pass rush on passing downs. So Dave Aranda decided to make a big change. He changed his pass rushing package to include, obviously, Caleb Von Chason never came off the field. But they kept one defensive tackle in, which, was an end. But they kept Rashard Lawrence on the field. And they brought in Marcel Brooks. And they also brought in Damon Clark. And the conflict it caused was Damon Clark, who is a linebacker, could drop back into coverage. And you don't know if he was rushing the passer, which, by the way, Damon Clark is probably the strongest linebacker on the team. He was at the time, for sure. This guy would bowl over. He could bull rush offensive guards back into the quarterback. So what that would do is it would not only bring in fresh legs to the field, it would also cause more confusion to a quarterback and an offensive line pre-snap. So maybe that's something LSU should think about, putting Damon Clark out there on the field in a pass rushing situation. But that might not be a fit for him, considering LSU had so many defensive linemen already. So that is something I would keep in mind if I was Durante Jones is, look, if we don't get rush with 4 guys in passing situations early in the season, let's go back to what we did in 2019. And I want to add that it worked. It did work. You saw that the LSU defense tightened up after the Alabama and Ole Miss games. They ended the season with 5 great games in a row, okay? Considering all the firepower Clemson had, considering all the firepower Oklahoma had, especially now in hindsight, knowing what we know about all those players. Georgia, all the firepower that they had. those were our best games defensively. Our defense got better as the season moved on. So it's very interesting. Let's see. Big Al says, listening to player interviews, the player cohesiveness is a lot better than it was a year ago. I agree. But wait until actual games and we'll see how players react to real adversity. But yes, I actually do agree with that, Alan. You could just see it. You could see it on the sidelines from this past weekend. And then, of course, Justin points out Ali Gay and Andre Anthony. And if I'm Ali Gay or Andre Anthony and I watched this spring scrimmage, Eric Taylor even had some good plays at defensive end. I would say, look, well, I better come back with my head on a swivel or else I'm going to lose my job. Kendall says, imagine when Savion and Langston get to campus. Yeah, that's very interesting. Let's see. Trey, let me know if you're still there. I would happily talk about Garrett Nussmeier. So, to me, here's my thing about Garrett Nussmeier that I love. All right. And I shared this to start the podcast. So I'm getting back to it now because, I spent so much time early on it. The one thing I really liked about Garrett Nussmeier, he made his best throw of the day to John Trey Kirkland. And the ball was a line. And then John Trey Kirkland caught the ball. I saw John Trey Kirkland drop this ball. And then, I didn't catch this in the actual game, but Garrett Nussmeier sprinted down there to let him know that he is okay. That John Trey Kirkland, hey, dude, you dropped the ball. It's no big deal. And that showed me a lot. He did not have to do that. And those are some intangibles you like to see out of the quarterback position. And, so I hope I know kid that stuff. She's doing better? Good.
She went back outside. She was trying to go across the street. The dog across the street literally jumped the fence to get back inside the fence. The big brown dog.
Did she attack Bug?
No. She was trying to get in the fence.
Oh, no.
And she just climbed.
Was she okay?
And so Bernie's looking at her and she let out a little bark.
But Booger let off a little bark? Booger never barks.
She does it to other dogs.
Well, you're not streaming anything in there. They're complaining about the internet, and I'm angry now.
No, I haven't done anything.
Well, then I'm happy. Microsoft?
No.
Well, then it's wild. We paid for the high speed internet.
It's not working right.
Well, no, it's. I guess it. I don't know. I can't watch. I don't know. Oh, it's in my bag. It's in the front.
Well, I'll get on that if I do stream something.
Yeah, just grab it.
I haven't done anything. I'm just doing text messaging. And I was on the phone with Mom.
So everyone asking about a Booger update, she's fine. It was just the throw. Yeah, the reaction. Yeah, my reaction to that throw. Trey, sometimes, and I always say this, sometimes I watch games.
Because you've got the door shut too, babe.
The door?
I think so.
Oh, the door can't be shut?
Well, I mean.
Yeah, that might be it. Because that's what happens at your parents.
That's what I told you. We need to put the extender in here for you.
You put an extender right there? Okay.
Where is the extender?
I thought I packed it.
I mean, I won't do it tonight. I'm just saying for future.
No, I brought the extender in here separate, and I sat it down in there.
I wonder if I put it in the box with the electronic stuff. I do think you need the door. I'm not.
All right. Well, yeah. Leave the door open. That's with connections.
I bet it will. I hope we didn't lose that damn thing.
Tyler, where were you, man? I understand we produce a lot of content, and you guys have lives to live. Huh? So I do want to add this. All right, so
I'm just gonna set it over here.
Yeah, it's fine. Just put it right there. Well, just sit it right there. I'll deal with it in a second. So I want to include this.
Worried about Booger.
Everyone's worried about Bud. So whenever you plan content, I want to give you guys a heads up. So obviously Saturday night we're going to do our same live stream. Okay. Next Tuesday, there's hardly ever going to be a conflict with my schedule and your schedule on Tuesday nights. Okay. I know you love the Saturday night live stream. Okay. And you look forward to it. So this Saturday, we will have a live stream at 7 p.m. Central. And then 7 p.m. Central, the next day will be our live film study. Next Tuesday, we'll have a live stream. And then instead of Saturday, on May 1st, we will not have a Saturday night live stream. Okay. I'm booked to do a private event. And, it's to the point now where if I'm getting asked to do one of these events, whether it's comedy or it's a wedding DJ, this is my favorite thing to do, these Saturday night things. So, I'm very selective over what, events I do now because, this is my focus. But I just wanted you guys to know that that is what's going on. So not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, we will not have a live stream. It'll be on that Friday, which I think is April 31st. So there you go. Andre Anthony is more Von Miller. Okay, so I am actually and I know this is weird because he went to Texas A&M, and he went to the Broncos. I don't hate Texas A&M too much, and I don't hate the Broncos, even though those obviously aren't my teams. I'm a big Von Miller fan. So Andre Anthony is I don't think Von Miller would actually be a good comparison to Andre Anthony. I think a better comparison to Andre Anthony would be someone like Jason Pierre-Paul. I think that's a little bit more of a fair comparison to their styles. Now, look, is Andre Anthony a good defensive end? He is a good defensive end. His Arkansas game was by far his best game. So it's very important to keep this in mind. There's only a handful of special pass rushers. Only a handful of special pass rushers. Okay? And as much as I like Andre Anthony, he's not that. He's not special. Now, he can be, but we've not seen, Arden Key type of traits. So, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that, Andre Anthony has the best season of his career, but we'll see. I'm telling you, Sony Fanua did a little bit of everything on Saturday. He defended the run well. He defended the pass well. He had a wide range of pass rushing moves. I'll tell you this. Cam Wire did way better blocking Sony Fanua than Austin Deculus did. So let's see. The microwave. I don't think so. Guys, is the internet still messing up? I don't know. I thought with our new internet it'd be fine.
We pay for the highest internet.
I think it's fine now. I don't know. We got about the normal amount of Tuesday viewers. Just don't use the microwave. Have you used a microwave?
No, I haven't. Thank you. And we have a gas stove.
We do have gas
I'm just
stoves.
joking, guys.
Let's see. Roger, who just sent us a super chat, and there we go. So, Roger, I'm going to get to your question. I'm going to go to Kalevra first. Kalevra, welcome to the chat. I don't know if this is your first time. Everyone, welcome Kalevra.
Hey,
I always like to see
that name.
Kalevra. I like seeing new commenters, especially if you're a new commenter and you super chat. That gets her happy.
Book their whole thing off. I was going to put together our dresser. Dang it, Bug.
Ward's got to get bigger if he wants to play safety. So
Microwave is heat.
Yes and no. Okay, so defending the run is
Hey,
obviously going to
Cliff.
be something. Tyler said, I thought your stream was lagging. Then I realized I'm cooking popcorn.
Oh, well, maybe that gas stove.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. Amacat, did your stream get better? What about you, Carvis? How are you down in Florida? I know things can get weird down there. Everyone welcome Kalevra.
I'm so excited about the gas stove.
A
You
gas
have no
stove.
idea.
Don't
No
get
idea.
Leonard a Chef Boyardee.
So is Haley.
Feed is still buffering off and on. So we're going to work on that. Once again, this is the second live stream we've done from Aaron. No, this is the first one. Yeah, this is the first one because Saturday we were over there. So yeah, this is our first live stream in the new.
Well, I think it has. That's why I wish we could have put the router in here with you.
I know.
But I think we'll hook up the extender tomorrow,
And then we'll see how
we'll see how it does.
We'll see how it extends.
I think that has to be it.
But that
Ready to be washed?
yes, I mean fast, like Usain Bolt fast.
And nobody has our password.
They might have.
No,
They can't have that password.
There's no way.
Our password is like XYZ giraffe chicken wing. Like it's connection. Yeah, I do think it's probably me. It normally fault. Yeah, 5.5 sacks in 10 games is pretty good. So if you put that over 13 games, that's 7 or 8 sacks. Yeah. But it's weird because LSU's had all these great defensive linemen.
I know what a convection stove is.
They've had
Leonard.
they've had all these top 10 defensive linemen, but none of them were necessarily great sack artists. So like Tyson Jackson was a top 10, but none of them were necessarily great sack artists. So like Tyson Jackson was a top 10 in like the NFL draft. Not really a sack artist. The same thing with Barkevious Mingo. He wasn't ever really an elite pass rusher. Now, Barkevious Mingo made a lot of plays. He chased a lot of guys down, but he wasn't, an elite pass rusher. Same thing is kind of true for Caleb Von Chason, who was a very good end, a very good edge player who caused a lot of havoc, but he wasn't your traditional go get the quarterback type of pass rusher. Like he made a wide variety of plays. He was very similar to Mingo in that he chased a lot of guys down, but when you get into like double digit sack totals, it's really hard to get double digit sacks. Yeah, Dre Anthony, no Pierre Paul. Yeah, I was just giving the best, one I could do off the top of my head. What's up? What is ninja style? I don't know what that is. Let's see. Where did Von Miller go to college? We do not mention that college. I'm kidding. He is an Aggie, not a New Mexico State Aggie. So, Kalever, your question, your super chat about Jay Ward, I'm not sure if he needs to get necessarily bigger per se. I mean, Grant Delpit was never huge, right? Especially if Jay Ward is going to play more of the free safety or the deep safety. Now it's, there's so much too high that's going to be played now because that's what the Rams played last season, and Brandon Staley is the new, defensive mastermind, and now he's the head coach of the Chargers. So now there's going to be so much too high safety that it's kind of interchangeable, whatever. But I don't think Jay Ward necessarily, he does need to bulk up some. So yeah, I could see you having guys that have some size, some freaks of nature, actually. So we're used to seeing, Jacoby Stevens, LaRon Landry, Chad Jones, guys that are also pretty big, but I'm not sure if Jay Ward necessarily has to, bulk up too much. What's up, Paris? Good to see you. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So hopefully, Clever, that answers your question, and welcome to the chat. Appreciate your insight. Let's see. You're buffering a little. So we'll work on that. Once again, that's first live stream from here. Share a recipe or two. Let's go to Josh. I actually really miss being in Alabama. Felt great when LSU fan being in Alabama. Yeah, there is something. No, don't do that, Joshua. You will go to jail. Do not do that. Let's go to Roger. Let's see. Do you think TJ's accuracy issues, and I know some of you are, coming in and you want to talk quarterbacks. So we talked about TJ's accuracy issues, but this is what Roger had to say. Do you think TJ's accuracy issues stem from his footwork? And if so, how does he go about fixing that? Does he need to go to California to see a specialist, or will Jake Peets be able to help him? So that's a great question. All right, first thing is, let's go back to TJ Finley's roots. All right, so he went to Ponchatoula High School, and before TJ Finley became the starting quarterback, Ponchatoula ran the option. So, or that's what I've heard. I might be totally wrong on that. So they ran the option, and then when they had TJ Finley, they changed up their offense, which is obviously smart when you have a quarterback that good in high school. So no, it wasn't as if he came from a quarterback factory. He didn't go to, South Lake Carroll or Mater Dei or somewhere like that. So, yeah, I mean, that's obviously part of it. But I like to see TJ Finley go. I don't know who TJ Finley worked out with this offseason or if he's just worked out at the LSU facility. But, maybe TJ Finley going to a JT O'Sullivan or a Quincy Avery would be really good for him, because obviously those guys, coach a lot of NFL quarterbacks privately, or whoever the big quarterback coach are. I know those are two of the biggest. I know Quincy Avery's probably the biggest now, but go see one of those guys. Maybe they can help you with that. It's a fresh set of eyes to get to work with TJ's body. Here's what I saw in the interception, and I shared this in the live stream film study. What happens when you have a special arm, it is when you throw the football so effortlessly, what happens is the ball has a tendency to sail on you. And that is essentially what happens with TJ, quite a bit. And, those accuracy issues, can they be fixed? Absolutely, they can be fixed. But to what extent, we'll have to wait and see. I obviously think TJ Finley could be a Division I quarterback, even more so than the mechanics. You cannot win consistently with a quarterback that commits a lot of turnovers. Now, you can commit a lot of turnovers and still play in close games. You can commit a lot of turnovers and still put up points and put up yards, but you can't win football games long term. It's simply something you do. So, above all else, if you really want to consider TJ Finley as a starting quarterback, and I would love for TJ to win the job, I would love for whoever the best person is to win the job, you got to stop the turnovers. That's got to stop first. It's a non-negotiable. And what we've seen from TJ in, a lot of the games that we've seen from him, towards, Texas A&M, we had a turnover issue. That was more how bad the offensive line was. I don't think any quarterback could have won behind that certain offensive line, but, the turnover issues against Auburn, okay? And then, these turnover issues in the spring game. Now, look, Max Johnson or Miles Brennan probably won't win a Heisman Trophy this season, but they don't turn the football over. They will some. All quarterbacks do, but they don't do it at the same rate as TJ Finley. So if you're just joining us, we were talking about Garrett Nussmeier and TJ Finley. For either one of them to play, they cannot commit the turnovers that they committed on Saturday. Let's see. Califra is concerned about Jay Ward's size still. Look, he just made the switch too. So maybe Tommy Moffitt, comes up with a new plan for his body. That would be something, you would have to ask Ed Orgeron directly, because I don't know, because Grant Delpit wasn't that big, was he? Like, he was maybe like 190, 180, and Jay Ward's 170. And, I don't think being huge at safety is as important as it used to be, simply because, it's not as big of a deal for you to be a box defender as it used to be, right? Or I might be wrong on that. We'll see. Yeah, Tyler, isn't that crazy? RIP. Oh, yeah. That was wild today. Yeah, man, it's the George Floyd verdict was today, and I don't discuss those things. Now, I do on my Twitter accounts, and I keep this LSU football related, but hopefully things will get better now. For everyone involved. Maybe at strong safety, you still need that size. Yes, Justin, I do agree with that. Let's see. Delpit was closer to 200 than 180. Yeah. Grant was probably bigger. Tuning in from the Porcelain Throne. Yeah, that's where you should be watching. Let's see. Colin, welcome, Colin. Could TJ leaving affect us getting his younger brother? Well, I don't know too much about his younger brother. I know he's in the class of 2022. I don't think he's one of the elite guys. Cody Finley, I don't know if he's even on LSU's radar for the class of 2022. And this is my view. Let me see, Josh. Yeah, but after a hard thought, I decided I'm not risking being on the front page of a newspaper. The newspaper would say an LSU football fan. Well, Josh, here's my thing on the toilet papering Bryant-Denny Stadium. Do it. I'm kidding. Don't, because they'll call and say I was an accomplice. I was an accomplice. I will say the Alabama field. Okay, I do think Bryant-Denny Stadium is cool. All right, I do think the Saban statue is cool. With that said, overall, Tuscaloosa is a really good college town, but Baton Rouge is better. Fayetteville's better. Auburn, I actually liked Auburn's college town atmosphere better. Athens is definitely better. Knoxville, yeah, I've only spent a little time in Knoxville. It was okay. Let's see. Tyler said, yeah, Josh, keep sending those super chats. I'm kind of interested if you're thinking about this toilet paper thing. Sports are supposed to be fun. Why not? Paris, you missed a lot of Garrett Nussmeier and TJ Finley chat. You also, if you've never seen me cry before, you missed that as well. Man, I never thought I would cry on this live stream. Because here's the thing. I get really emotional about a lot of things. I don't get too emotional about LSU football. Now, I am passionate about it. I care a lot about it, but I won't cry or get too mad or too happy or too sad, especially now, because our peak has been reached. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean we should not strive for more national championships, but nothing will ever touch 2019. It just won't. Okay. Unless I personally have a child or a family member on the team and they win the national championship, that will obviously be a peak. That will peak the 2019 team. But, after that, if you go back to the first ever video on this channel, I was in my parents' basement wearing a Liverpool hoodie. And the first video I ever did was, I'm fine with whatever happens. You know, I grew up around Arkansas fans that would dream of ever winning 10 games again. And LSU is a program that's won 3 separate national championships since 2003 with 3 separate head coaches. What's up, Eric? Cliff, we're not going to get into it again. You can go back and rewatch it. But that's like the big thing that happened. Boog had a seizure right after my video posted earlier today. And we raced Boog to the hospital, and we thought she was not going to make it. But she just snapped back into it. And we didn't know dogs had seizures. I don't know a whole lot about dogs. Boog is my first ever dog. So I was crying earlier on the thing because it just happened. It had just happened. And I had to make a quick decision about whether or not I wanted to do a live stream. I'm glad I did because, you know, you guys are my friends and family and whatever superlative. Well, Cliff, you actually are my blood relative. Josh says, I mean, I miss being in Alabama. It's real nice. I'm coming from this LSU point of view. Is there a new house tour in the future? Well, I'll tell you this. I do not make the money to actually be moving to a house that is special. We have 3 separate rooms, and I'm in one of them. And apparently the Wi-Fi can't even reach from here to there. So Tyler asked, can Derek Stingley Jr. Win the Heisman? Bo, I thought I did respond to your email, Bo, because I will happily take you up on that offer. I know, I'm dead serious, Bo. I actually read your email. I've got to see if I responded to this. I did respond to this, Bo. I did. It's been crazy. We've been moving. Nath Bone. Everyone welcome Nath Bone to the channel. I love that name. Nath Bone. Everybody welcome. Trey is like our official greeter. Nath Bone. So Josh, yeah, one day you'll get a tour of the crib, but don't expect like MTV Cribs hosted by Exhibit. Nathan, well, welcome to the channel, man. I appreciate you. So welcome, Bone. You know what's funny, Justin Knox? Now that you said that, one of my best friends, his name is Justin Bone, and we call him Bone. So it's funny that you said that, Justin. Josh, end it again, man. I thought for sure. I try to respond to love you guys SEC stuff. Thanks, man. So are you an LSU fan, Bone, from Compton, California? From Compton. There you go, Josh. Send me another email. Yeah, so here's the thing. USC? Yeah, just one of my best friends. His name's Justin Bone, lives in KC. Let's see. Nathan, USC fan. Well, welcome, man. We appreciate you. Oh, yeah. No, fantastic. Whenever I reference Boog, I'm referencing Boog the dog. Even though I do have a lot of love to Booger McFarlane. Come on in, Bo. Well, Bo, thank you, man. Thank you for sending me a number. I will happily take you up on that offer. Okay, I've been craving it. So just in case you guys didn't know, Bo is going to treat me to some Mama's fried chicken next time I'm in Opelousas. I cannot wait. I'm thinking about it now. I could really use some of that Mama's fried chicken after the traumatic experience from a few hours ago. I get happy. I love Mama's fried chicken so much. I just get that happy. Okay, so to the Stingley for Heisman thing. So that was, really pushed last season by Kirk Herbstreit. So there's a few things you need to happen to win the Heisman as a defensive back. The one thing is obviously you need a lot of interceptions, right? You need a lot of flashy plays so they can play it on, screen and Sports Center and all that. And Derek Stingley Jr. does make a lot of flashy plays, but he's yet to have a pick six. Okay. Now, look, this is not me criticizing Derek Stingley Jr. It's just in order to entertain the voters, you legit have to, do magical stuff. Now, Patrick Peterson had a legit, and I mean legit, Heisman campaign going, but then the Cam Newton game happened and that killed it. But Patrick Peterson didn't even get an invite to New York City, and I thought he should have gotten one. Now, obviously, I'm extremely biased, but Tyrann Mathieu actually got an invite to New York City. And in hindsight, revisionist history, he probably should have won the Heisman Trophy, because what a lot of voters probably thought was, okay, there's going to be another Tyrann Mathieu. And there really hasn't been a defensive player that's come close to the type of season that Tyrann Mathieu had. And Tyrann Mathieu also had punt returns for touchdowns. Now, I love Derek Stingley Jr. I will say this. Saturday was incredible. And I know he got beat once on a double pump by Miles Brennan. And, who's not going to get beat by Kayshon Boutte? But Derek Stingley Jr. was the best player on the field Saturday. Now, Dwight McGlothern gets an MVP because, he's Dwight McGlothern. That was his best game up to this date. But probably the biggest takeaway from Saturday is that we got to see elite Derek Stingley Jr. And it's not just the interception he had against TJ Finley. This dude locked guys down. And what we forget is before the long pass he gave up against Kayshon Boutte on Saturday, the play before that, he actually would have intercepted that against any other wide receiver. It was a very similar play he made against George Pickens, where he ripped the football out of George Pickens' hands. And it's such an iconic photo because Derek Stingley has like the biggest biceps ever on a corner. And, you could see the veins popping out of his corner when he was ripping the football away from George Pickens. And Kayshon was lucky enough to hold on to that thing on Saturday. So we got to see elite Derek Stingley Jr. However, in order to win the Heisman Trophy as a defensive back, of course, we've only had one. It was Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson won the Heisman Trophy because he had the punt return against Ohio State. Tyrann Mathieu solidified his trip to New York City because he had the punt returns against Georgia. He had two iconic returns against Georgia. And the game before it, he had an iconic game against Arkansas with the punt return and a fumble recovery and all that. I would venture off and say Eli Ricks with the pick sixes would probably have a better chance, but Eli Ricks doesn't get to return punts. Now, Derek Stingley as a punt returner is also a different story. So you look at his punt return history, and his best punt return game in 2019 were against non-Power Fives. And then his best punt return game last season was against Vanderbilt. So as a punt returner, up to this point, we haven't really seen anything, mind-blowing, especially considering LSU's illustrious history as punt returners, okay? Obviously, Tyrann is probably the best of all time, but Odell was elite. Trey White was a fantastic punt returner. Chad Jones, Patrick Peterson, Odell, the list goes on and on of all the great punt returners at LSU. So, Sting, I obviously I think Sting is an elite athlete. He can probably become a great punt returner this season. So as far as him winning the Heisman Trophy, number one, you're already up against it. Okay. You're already up against it trying to win this trophy as the best player in college football, because obviously it's a guarantee that there's going to be 5 quarterbacks that put up elite stats and 1 running back that's going to put up elite stats. So that's already going up against you. And then you need all these returns and all of that. So We'll see. We'll see what happens. Trenton Holiday, yeah. Oh, yeah. Trenton Holiday. Well, if I remember correctly, Trenton Holiday was more of a kick returner. Yeah, I know, Plum. It is very scary. So hopefully that that answers your question, Tyler. Yeah. What's Eric talking about? He's talking about if we eat gator down here. Yeah, yeah. Gator is up there. Okay. Now, you guys know food is a big part of this channel. All right. If someone goes down to Louisiana, and Leonard is actually a chef, if I'm not mistaken, um, an actual Cajun chef. So Leonard helped me out on this. But like when you go down, to Louisiana, obviously you want to have gumbo and all that stuff. But honestly, I think the most important thing if you make a trip down south is to go to a good oyster house. I honestly think oysters are the most important thing to get in Louisiana. Now, look, some people say, well, you can get that in Maryland and Baltimore or wherever. And that's probably true. But for me, when I go down to Louisiana, I got to go to Phil's Oyster House. I got to go to Acme. I got to go to Drago's. I got to have char grilled oysters somewhere. Haley and I, when we were getting furniture for the new house, we went to Monroe, and we went to a place, and North Louisiana gets such a bad, just it's a horrible rap for no reason whatsoever. North Louisiana doesn't deserve the bad rap that it gets. Okay, they call North Louisianians Yankees, and I talked to my buddy Sean Fox, who does radio on 97.7. I talk to him about this all the time. North Louisiana's got great food, and North Louisiana's got great cuisine. I had some of the best crawfish I've ever had at a place called Riverside, Coney Island. And the service was great, and they were kind of busy, and the lady was great, and it had a really good crawfish atmosphere. And their food was immaculate. That was some of the best food I've ever had. And their 5 pounds of crawfish were amazing. They were large, they were spicy, they had great flavor. Uh, North Louisiana is underrated, but obviously, if you go to South Louisiana, um, you know, that's a question you get a lot. What do I should get? Where should I go to eat? Should I get crawfish, or should I get this or that? Shrimp and grits, etouffee, gumbo. Well, gumbo's way better than those other two. Etouffee's a little overrated, a little, and shrimp and grits. I think shrimp and grits is okay. I actually like shrimp and grits, but char grilled oysters are just so on point for me. Yeah, it's just the number one question. So yeah, we're an hour and a half into it. Obviously, when we get to this point, we can get off the beaten path a little bit, which is fine. Any sauce for meat pies? Mm. Okay, Bo, Justin, we'll see you. Justin's like, hey, you started talking about food. I'm here to talk about LSU football. Huh? Justin, thank you, man. I appreciate you. Oyster Rockefeller. Mm. I'm telling you, man, Phil's Oyster House is by far the best chalk grilled oysters I've ever had. Acme's great. Drago's the original, always great. Mike Anderson's, it's not bad. Let me go to Bone here. USC tailgate. Taco cups, lettuce wraps, hot dogs, and bacon. Oh my God, Nat Bone. Please. I would rather go to a tailgate that just picked up 100 pizza sticks from the nearest Exxon gas station. I would rather that than go to a tailgate with that. Ah, ah. But I will say this, and I do want to throw this out there now that Bone is here. Okay, so look, our country's opening up. People are getting vaccinated. I don't want to get into a discussion about that. I've gotten my vaccine shots or whatever, but I'm not going to the Rose Bowl for the UCLA opener. But as someone who has covered a Rose Bowl, if you are determining whether or not you should go to the UCLA game, you need to go. You just need to go. The Rose Bowl is an unforgettable experience. Now, I enjoyed it. It could be different for a UCLA game compared to a Rose Bowl. It's not going to have the same thing because it is the first game of the new season post-pandemic or whatever. But that stadium is so iconic, and it makes me want to travel more to go to these other iconic stadiums, whether it's in stadium or wherever. Um, that place, it's magical. I never thought I would enjoy a football experience more than a game in the Superdome, but the Rose Bowl has something about it. And it could be that I was in a state of shock because I saw the Rose Bowl parade, and then I went to the game, and I could have just been in a daze because of everything that was happening. But dear Lord, wow, wow. The Rose Bowl is crazy. And the fact that, the Rose Bowl was such a big thing for, if you're in your 20s or 30s, it wasn't a huge thing. The Rose Bowl was not big to us because, we were in the South, and football and college football had become, bigger to a certain extent. But the Rose Bowl is so much more important to our viewers that are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. That's an iconic game. And, when you get into the stadium, you'll see people, crying. It's an emotional experience for a lot of people. So, yeah, I believe every person that's a college football fan, and this is your opportunity as an LSU fan to go to UCLA for the game. Now, if you don't feel comfortable traveling, don't go. Don't take this as an endorsement. If you're scared of travel right now, a lot of people are. Um, but if you can go and you are healthy, you are fully vaxxed or whatever you feel makes you feel comfortable, you should go. You should definitely go. It is in freaking incredible. And this is coming from someone that is a Tiger Stadium stan. I believe in all the hype surrounding Tiger Stadium and Death Valley and all that stuff because it is us. It's what our channel is based on, our love for LSU football. But objectively speaking, the most unforgettable college football experience. And this was a game between two teams I could care less about, Ohio State and Washington. It was in freaking incredible. And I'm sure I would get even more emotional if I saw my dear beloved Tigers playing in the Rose Bowl. But, I don't plan on going unless Haley and I make a last second trip. I doubt we actually go. Yeah, USC, it would be better for the game if USC became relevant again. Now, USC did pick up a few LSU staffers over the years. Oh, tamales. Yeah, that is great. Yeah, DRC, that's the thing. The only and that's the thing. That's why I say, be careful because you don't know what could happen. It could be that you go out there and then, there's an outbreak and you can't actually go to the game or the game gets canceled. So that's why I say with an asterisk, okay? I'm not sure if I will say this. I know for sure the reward is definitely worth the risk of the game not happening. It is not worth your health or your mental well-being. Because it's different when you haven't traveled in a while and that's your first big road trip and you're going in front of all these people. It is one of those things. And it's something I battled with because, seeing LSU play in the Rose Bowl was always a dream of mine growing up. And I know there was rumors a few times that LSU would play in a Rose Bowl in a few past bowl seasons. But, it's crazy. Michigan or Ohio State, that would be fun. But LSU's got a home and home coming up with Clemson. That's going to be fun. I'm definitely going to go to that. And actually, I really want to go to Clemson. Amacat starting fight words. Let's go to Josh's super chat here. My hometown's in Covington, Louisiana, but I live in Slidell, Louisiana. Now I love deer to be honest, but boudin balls Billy's is the best. Billy's boudin is the best thing I've ever eaten. Their fried boudin ball that was the best thing I've ever had. I didn't expect the hype. Actually, I didn't really know about Billy's. I just stopped at one of at the convenience store. And they legit, I was trembling in my car eating that. Exactly. Yeah, Stingley, it's going to be tough. Oh, yeah, Roger and Eric are going at it for the president of the Garrett Nussmeier fan club. That might be up for debate. Now, I don't know, Roger. Eric has been the president of this fan club. Here's what I'm going to do. So Roger has been super chatting like crazy tonight. However, I will be at some point getting Roger his early Doucette card. So because of that, Roger, I'm sorry to inform you that Eric will remain the president of the Garrett Nussmeier fan club. Okay. Now, Roger, if you dropped a $100 super chat right now, you would become the president of the Garrett Nussmeier fan club. But unless that, I'm not afraid to pimp it out. We're an hour 42 in it. Or $100 Venmo or Cash App, preferred. Remember the Les Miles failed Trendon Holiday play where he hid behind the what? Okay, Micah, I'm intrigued by that. I read that earlier, and I want to know more. I hope you're still in here, Micah. DRC, look, I here's the thing. Eric would cry. Eric would go to his wife and say, "Look, baby, I don't know if we can go out to dinner tonight because I'm no longer the president of the Nuss fan club." It's so funny. Even gift cards, Leonard. Yes, Eric. So that's the thing. If Roger coughs up the hundo, because and here's the thing. Wait, I got 2 tickets on the trip to BR last week. Oh, you got 2 tickets to the game in California? That's cool, man. Yeah, do that, Nathan. If they want to see unshaven, needs a haircut, me talk about LSU football. But notice he said you guys. And it is you guys. You the viewers are the one who make this channel special to me. So yeah. I appreciate you, Nathan. And I'll let you know if I'm ever out in Cali again. Hopefully soon, man. Here's my dream. My dream comedy club is to work the Comedy Cellar in New York City. But then I would like to get on stage at the Comedy Store in LA. Only the legends get on stage at both of those places. Only the legends. Well, other people too. No, I got 2 speeding tickets last week. That is so funny. I thought you were referencing 2 tickets on the way. Oh my god. Roger, I'm sorry about those speeding tickets. Well, Roger, here's the thing. Okay, so you're at $15, okay, based on your super chat earlier. Okay. And you got the early Doucette card in transit. So, Roger, you are $85 away from the Garrett Nussmeier fan club presidency. Now, don't feel pressured to do this. That is so funny. I feel bad. And he super chatted the bad news. Here's something I like about Roger. He can take a joke. I feel like Roger's like the perfect person to do comedy in front of because, I'll share. We're an hour 46 in. Joshua says he's the president of the Miles Brennan fan club. Okay, it's settled. Josh has been with us for a while now. Josh, you are the president of the Miles Brennan fan club. Congratulations. You got Roger. Roger calls out Matt Moscona saying, I got a Hudco roofing hat from Matt Moscona. Really, Roger? Is there a photo? Is there a photo of you and Scone? I'm sure you took a selfie. Let me go look at your Twitter, Roger. Let's see. Your pinned tweet is Matt Moscona making fun of you. Let me see. Is there a photo of you and Scone? He put it on his Insta. Okay, Roger. Daggum. Now, here's the thing. I can't compete with Matt Moscona, man. He's the best at this thing. I know, Matt. Let's see. I haven't talked to Matt in a while. I know Cliff is friends with him. He posted it on his Insta. I don't see it on there. Did he take it this weekend? Huh? That's so funny. So here's the thing. I can't really compete with Matt. Not only does he have those cool Hudco roofing hats, I don't have a sponsor on this show yet. Okay. I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to sponsor a show of a guy that doesn't shave, needs a haircut, cries about his dog? Who would want that type of LSU content? Who would want to sponsor this guy right here? Huh? Oh, you sent the video to me? Okay, I'll check it out. Haley's like, when are you going to get a sponsor? Our rent is up. You knew that. She doesn't actually say that. She's sweet. Oh, you say? Oh, let's see. Is that you, Roger? Roger, that's you? You're wearing a Boston Red Sox hat? You basic son of a gun? Is Scone a Red Sox fan? DRC, thank you. I just need DRC to sponsor me. Huh? But you see, Bo, are you serious, guys? I know Blake. Are you serious, guys? See, Blake is just a better looking dude than me. I'll say it. Blake's a handsome guy. He's just better looking than me. That's what it all comes down to. No, Blake's really good too. Uh, he knows way more about LSU baseball than I do. I just can't. I know I'm going to sound like an old man here. I just can't get into the LSU baseball stuff. It's kind of like the same thing with the 2019 LSU team, except I still cared about LSU football infinitely after the 2019 team. So I shared the story about the euphoria I felt at the 2019 national championship game. So I went to the game, um, and I I drank way more than I probably should have, and I never drink at football games. Can I say that? I never do because I like to focus on the game. But the 2019 game, I just got carried away, and I was drunk. I'm not gonna lie. At the end of the 2019 game, I was drunk, and my dad was with me. My dad doesn't drink, and I see Barry freaking Sanders. Okay, my dad loved Barry Sanders, but I love Barry Sanders. Huge fan. So I had to chase down Barry Sanders. He did not want to get stopped because he knew he was going to get stopped by 1,000 people leaving after the game ended. And me, Barry, and my dad took. And Barry, I was drunk. I was. You could see how lit I was. I took that because I was so concerned I wasn't even holding the phone in the right direction. So the thing about Blake's show is like after the 2009 LSU baseball team, I just quit caring about LSU baseball. I just like a team as much as I loved that LeMahieu, Leon Larry, Jared Mitchell, Chad Jones, Anthony Renato. I love Anthony Renato, and he's also in the sports cards, which I'm interested in. I got to reach out to Anthony. He did a bunch of radio stuff when I was in school with me. Micah Gibbs and Sean Ochinko and that team. That was just such a fun team. And then after that, I was like, okay, it can only go down from here, which it kind of has. I just can't get into it. That was your only trip to Omaha, Bo. So me as a student reporter, they paid for my trip and they let me spend the full 2 weeks in Omaha. Best experience of my life. And I knew that I was never going to get that opportunity again because, I just don't care enough about baseball to actually cover it. So after that, I just didn't care. And then Jeter and Rivera retired, and then I really didn't care about baseball anymore. So, the Are You Serious guys, I mean, he does it all. He does baseball and UFC, all that stuff. So shout out to my dude Blake. I've been a guest on there, I think 2 times. They do good stuff. But obviously, man, Matt Moscone is just a monster. He's so freaking good at radio. I give him a lot of credit. And it's the technical stuff. So, like, I'm used to, so I have a radio background. So I've done a lot of 3-hour radio shows. And most of the radio that I've done in my career has been solo. Now, when I did radio for 4+ years in Arkansas, I didn't have a producer. So, and I had to do a country show and an R&B show every day. So it's different because he gets to focus on that show. But, I hate it when I hear people say, well, I don't like Moscone because he said this that one time, or he said this that one time. Well, yeah, he does a 3-hour radio show by himself. He's going to piss you off a few times. It happens. I'm sure that I've gotten you guys angry with something that I've said. That's the point of the show. It's to push boundaries. It's to be thought-provoking. So, full disclosure, I don't watch other channels because I'm so busy. Now, I watch the Ed Orgeron interview each and every week. Occasionally, I'll catch a Moscone clip on YouTube or whatever. But the guy's really freaking good. And it's really, really hard to do a radio show. Now, DRC, I thank you for being my sponsor. I acknowledge you. And I didn't ask you what you wanted your super chat to be about because I rambled. So DRC, whatever you want to talk about LSU football related, I will happily go straight to it. And thank you also for commenting on our video earlier. And also DRC, on top of that, thank you for always, and a lot of you do this, but I want to single out DRC because, he's been commenting. He always provides such thoughtful comments. So I appreciate you and your support. Um, Dude, Bo, yes, Barrett's Barleycorn, the bar in Omaha, the Irish bar that becomes an LSU bar. T-Bob and Hester every morning for me. Gotta love it. I mean, shucks. I just got Jacob Hester's rookie card, and I still have his Chargers uniform. Dude's amazing. He's obviously talented broadcaster, but, and this is a big but, and this is a deal breaker for me when it comes to Jacob Hester. He's an Everton fan. Can't the dude? Just one of those things, man. Can't be an Everton fan. Nah, you guys, man. You can't do it. Everton, really? Yeah, Josh, I saw it, and Bo, I'll respond to your email as well after this. So obviously, I'm gonna tend to booger and check on everything with her, but I promise you. What's up, Chuck B? Emma Cat, I'm sorry about the lag. We'll work on that. It's so strange. It's so strange. I thought for sure that this thing would be fixed. All right. Hester's probably my favorite Tiger. It's not a bad pick. Any 2 or 3 star guy is the best. Yeah, she's doing better now, Bo. It was scary, though. It was scary. My heart was in my freaking belly. DRC, let me know if you're still there, and I'll answer your super chat. If not, we'll go ahead and sign off this thing, and I'll work on this lag. Yeah, any number 18 is always a good pick. Richard Murphy, Benny Logan is a really good Tiger. I don't have it. Oh, thank you, DRC. I appreciate it, man. Chuck B, this is the most content we've posted in a short period of time. Yeah, DRC, I always say this, okay? We all love LSU football, all right? We love it more than anything else on this planet, okay? You guys wouldn't be here on a Tuesday night, an hour 57 into a live stream in a blank room in a new house, dude crying about his dog to start the live stream. But I do believe in honest views about your team, okay? And the reason why DRC I do that is because what some people would say is, well, you're not a real fan if you criticize LSU football, and I don't. Obviously, I do, but I never want to criticize any one player or coach or fan or whatever unless it is evident that it needs to be addressed. So, for instance, here's a good example of this, DRC. I'm glad you pointed out, the honest views. I try to be as honest as I possibly can. Now, of course, my LSU bias creeps in from time to time, but I'm also trying to be as positive as I possibly can. But part of being a fan is that you, the fans, are what pays LSU football. You care about LSU football so much that you spend your off time caring about this team. So in a way, you're a part, not owner of the team, but you're a piece of the team, even though you're not in the locker room, even though you're not a player. Heck, some of you might not have ever even gone to the university. I know some of you have never even been in the stadium for a game, but you care about it and you want what's best for the team. And that's how I always am as well. So I always try my best, DRC, to be positive. Jared, I hope I'm not a negative tiger. I try my best to be not negative, but positive. Kind of like earlier, this was something. Exactly, Kane. So, there are some honest criticisms about Ed Orgeron, okay? Oh, the 12th man. Good night, Josh. We'll see you. Good night. I'm going to bed. I'm a big LSU Tigers fan. Yeah. I appreciate you, Josh. I appreciate you. Okay. So, and I just so I'm getting comments on my video from earlier. So here's something I wanted to ask you guys. Okay, but whenever I make a criticism of a coach or a player, when I actually edit and post a video, I do 2 or 3 takes because I never want to be mistaken. I never want to be, misspoken. So like earlier, but before I posted the video, I went back to include 2 slides in the video from earlier saying, I'm not going to be lying. I'm not going to lie. And Josh, thank you for all your super chats and all your support. I promise I'll get to your email after this, if not tonight, tomorrow. So what's really fascinating is, look, take, for instance, the final slot, okay, in recruiting. All right. So LSU's obviously got enough talent to go to the national championship game next season. They have enough talent to go to the college football playoff next season. I really hope we get to the college football playoff next season. However, there are still some holes that need to be addressed. And we only have one final slot to address any hole. And here's the thing. Any of these guys that hits the portal can help you right now. They can help you right now. So we were about to use our final recruiting slot, okay, this very powerful slot on another safety at a high school, all right, who won't play in his first season, in Kendall Daniels. That is not ideal. That is not something that I would have recommended LSU to do. Now, they may have hired Kendall Daniels as the best safety on their board in all of college football, and if that's the case, go for it. But if that final slot can go to someone that can help you right now, it needs to go to that player, okay? Guess what? There's plenty of other safety prospects that you can get in the next class that you're already recruiting. But if you were to use that final slot on someone that is just like all the other guys that are coming in next season, and I might be wrong, Kendall Daniels might be the next Ardarius Washington or the next insert. Could be. He's obviously really talented. But we have got to be really wise in picking the right guy to come help us get to the college football playoff next season.
Somebody wanted to come say hi one more time.
One more time?
Yeah. She went and had her little food and had her little water.
I'm going to say one more time. It's going to be quick. Everybody was worrying about you, Bug. It was such a scary moment. All right, go get her down. I don't want her to get. I just get nervous.
She's okay.
Yeah, I know she's fine, but still.
She said, "Look at how alert she is." Hey, everybody.
She's a bigger. She's a bigger. I'm glad she's okay. Thank you, Chuck B. I appreciate that.
Let's get her walking. She's gonna start going on 2 walks a day.
2 walks a day. I'm going outside. Let's get her.
You ready to do a little boob shake? Here we go.
Go ahead, big.
Come on, let's go.
There you go, bud. She does a shake.
When the tail's wagging, we're having a good booger day.
So James, exactly. And this would be my ultimatum. Okay. And the more I do research on this topic, as far as roster management, the more I believe elite offensive linemen are the most valuable offensive players you can get now. Even to a certain degree, and not more valuable, obviously, than a quarterback, but they are extremely valuable on so many different levels. So here's, let's go to Paris. What's up, Paris? I think Miles was still rusty and played with a lot of emotion. I think Miles wins the job in the fall. Hey, Paris, you've done, and I got to give you credit, Paris. You've been on top of this for a while. You really do believe Miles Brennan is the best quarterback for the job. So we go to a super chat. I like it. But the final thing on the final slot thing, I do believe that slot should go to an offensive lineman. I think the need is so glaring there, far more so than any other position. And I'm to the point where I kind of want to go DEFCON 1 on, I just made up that term. What does that even mean? I want to go full emergency on an offensive lineman that can help us right now. And I was really concerned with the backup offensive lineman. And we'll go through this on our Sunday film study, but still, Jared, another super chat. I appreciate it. So we'll keep going. So Paris, here's the thing about Miles Brennan that's fascinating. The more I watched the second half of the LSU spring game, and once again, don't take too much away from a spring game, the more you can just see how much more you can do with the mobile quarterback. And on top of that, and Paris, I'm so glad you brought this up because this goes along with what we're talking about now. Miles Brennan has no shot with a patchy offensive line. Okay? Mac Jones is a traditional pocket quarterback. He succeeded because he had the greatest offensive line I've ever seen at the college level. Okay? The 2020 Bama offensive line is the best I've ever seen. The best. And I know there's some recency bias and there's some old schoolers who would, offensive line. I can even make a case that the offensive line had more to do with Mac Jones and Alabama's success than Devonta Smith, than even Najee Harris. And those two guys are two of the greatest SEC college football players ever. That's how that Bama offensive line was. Miles Brennan would need that type of protection. And the LSU offensive line in its current state, remember, okay, as great as Miles Brennan played on Saturday, he couldn't get hit. And we've yet to see how he reacts to getting hit. And on top of that, that offensive line that had patchy protection on Saturday, once again, it's just a spring game. Don't get carried away. But that patchy protection came against a defense that can't blitz. So when you can't blitz, this was my only concern with the spring game. Well, if you don't ever practice blitzing, then the offensive line, who could not pick up blitzes last season, can't work on that very same thing. So that is a huge concern for me, a huge concern. Now, is it really late in the process to find an offensive lineman that's good enough to start right now? Probably so. However, you play more than just 5 offensive linemen. Now, you do play only 5 offensive linemen at a time, but you need backups. And I am not confident in any of the LSU backups right now. Okay? I don't know if I even consider Anthony Bradford a backup because I think he's going to win the job at right guard. Cam Wire's a backup. I like him a lot. He has experience playing guard and tackle. Even then, injuries happen. And the one thing about returning an experienced offensive line is Yes, it is better to have an experienced offensive line, but a lot of those guys have played a lot of snaps. So injuries are going to happen. Jared with the super chat. He wants to talk about Miles Brennan's weight, which has always been a fluctuating issue. Kareem, is your son watching with you right now, Kareem? I want to say hi to your son, Kareem. I know you watch with your little kiddo. That's great. I want to say hi to Kareem's family. Reed makes a good point, though. Miles is more accurate, and he does attack you more vertically with his arm. LSU ran all verts. That was their most successful play last season. Even when Miles Brennan went out with an injury, it was their most successful play. So, that comes back into the equation with Miles Brennan. I also think if I'm so high on Jeray Jenkins, which I am, Jeray Jenkins is also a more productive receiver with Miles Brennan than Max Johnson, I believe. Even though Jeray did catch a touchdown from Max against Florida. I agree, James. I think that's the biggest difference between the two of them. It is. Putting them on now. Hey, Kareem. I'm just waiting. I know I can't see your son, Kareem. I can't actually show children on YouTube channels because of new laws. I think I put my girlfriend's on. I think he should show them, but it's weird. Shout him out again. Kareem, I'm trying to remember your son's name. Your son's name is Caden, correct? Is your son's name Caden or Jaden? Either one of them. So just saying hi to your kid. And here's the thing. Those that have kids, I don't have kids. I don't really have any cousins or nieces that live near me. But I have my girlfriend's nieces, and they love anything on a screen. Kids are addicted to screens more than adults. Well, I'm not so sure about that. But anytime they can see anything on a screen, they just get excited. Caden. So shout out to you, Caden. Watching with your dad. Some father-son love. That's good stuff. Oh, you just waved back. That's great, man. Chuck, I haven't had a chance to watch the Bama spring game yet. They look pretty good, though. And, if you're to ask right now, would I rather take Bryce Young or any of the LSU quarterbacks? I would say I'm not answering that question right now because Bryce Young's pretty good. They have the best team money can buy. DRC, I agree with that. Obviously, there's money in college football, but Nick Saban's just great. I know it's hard to admit that as an LSU fan, and I know that the easy thing to do is to say, well, Nick Saban is just a product of his talent. But guess what? You still have to recruit that talent. You still have to coach that talent. You still have to change your coaching philosophies. You have to change your ways. Remember, exactly, Paris. So to answer, and I was waiting for Paris's response. If the LSU offense is better, if pick up blitz protections, I'd rather Miles Brennan. But if what I saw on Saturday is what I'm going to see during the season, I want Max Johnson leading my team. Just because someone that can run around can give you more of an opportunity. If our O-line gels and the defense improves, we beat Bama this year. I hope. I think we have a better shot at beating Bama. I'll put it this way. I think we have a better shot of beating Alabama than we do going 2-0 against Ole Miss and Florida. Because those games are back-to-back, because those are such difficult offenses to play back-to-back, with the 2-week rest period and the belief that we can go into Alabama and beat them, I think we have a better shot at beating Bama than going 2-0 against those guys. PJ says, what has Bryce Young ever done in college? Well, nothing, just some garbage time. And I watched him in high school. I watched him go head-to-head against DJ Uiagalelei. And full disclosure, Bryce Young wasn't a 5-star quarterback that just blew me away, but he's pretty good. You go back and watch his high school footage. He's just great. And I haven't seen him. But I'll say this. I think most people would agree that his ceiling is really, really high, especially in that offense. We're beating all three. I hope you're right. So, Paris, hopefully that answers your super chat the best I possibly can. Got an Instagram follow. That's cool. I don't hardly ever post on Instagram. Can I say something really quickly? And this is going to sound wild. I was shocked. There was an LSU player who I like a lot who followed me on Instagram. Now, I'm not going to say who that was, but I was just shocked. I just did not. I don't know if my channel just popped up on his thing, but it was weird because I do not post on Instagram. I just don't. Not on the Power Hour LSU channel or my personal channel. But I was shocked when he followed me because I was like, hopefully he followed me because he liked my content. And I know, and Paris, you can speak to this because you're younger. But, I never understood Instagram. I kind of tried to get into it, and I posted on there a bunch. It's just not my cup of tea, but the players love Instagram. Athletes love Instagram. They love Instagram. Oh, that was you, Chuck B, that followed? Yeah, I appreciate that. That's cool stuff. One of my favorite LSU players that's on the team now followed me, and I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know if I should shoot him a message. What do you think I should do, guys? Should I shoot him a message and say thanks for the follow? Because it's kind of weird because I'm 32 and I don't know. But it's wild though. It's weird. I don't get. I don't know. I like TikTok. Twitter, I spend a lot of time on Twitter. I think Twitter's fine. I think Facebook has its purpose. Instagram's the one I just don't get. It's just, I don't hate it per se. I don't think I should message him. I'll shoot him a message. So I'll send him a message, see if he wants to hop on the channel. I've never done an interview on here. But I'm really, really excited about this guy. Oh, Leonard, I just saw your story about Bug. About your dog. I'm sorry. So I'm glad you brought this up, Hit Stick. And I hate to say this about DRC because he is the official sponsor of our channel because he super chatted and said he's a sponsor. I'm really passionate about this topic because I try not to be an end result guy. All right. I know, Kane, it's weird. A lot of people, I've never hit a player up to say, hey, do you want to come on the channel? Because I know they get interviewed by 1,000 people. For instance, a close friend of mine in high school has his son is an elite recruit, not a good recruit. He's an elite recruit. But I don't know. I haven't talked to my friend in a while, and he was a close friend of mine more in high school. And I don't want to hit him up and just say, look, I want to use your son for views. I would obviously want to get to know him, and it's weird. Yeah. So that's why it's since he followed me, maybe he'd want to come. I don't know. So I'll touch on this and then we'll hang out for a little bit more. Obviously, we'll keep hanging out at the Venmo, Cash App, Super Chats keep coming. Exactly, Kenneth. So here's the thing. The Alabama game in 2019 was a one-score game. However, that game was not close. It was not close. It was only close in score. That was the best performance by an LSU team outside of course, the defense folding in the second half. But what we need to remember about that game, okay, and if you guys don't mind, I'm going to ramble a little bit here. So the 2019 LSU versus Alabama game, Alabama's the 6-point favorite, right? In that entire game, LSU probably only caught one lucky break, and that was the very first drive of the game where Tua fumbled on his own, and it wasn't a special play. We got lucky that he just dropped the ball and we recovered it. But so much of what happened in that game for Alabama was fluky, okay? So their first touchdown was the trick play where they caught Derek Stingley Jr. looking towards the sideline, and that was their first touchdown. Their second touchdown was a punt return by Jalen Waddle. Now, it was an incredible punt return, and Jalen Waddle is one of the best punt returners ever in the SEC, but it was also kind of lucky. Racey McMath decided not to murder him, and he hit him so hard that he catapulted Jalen Waddle to the other side of the field, and it was a punt return for a touchdown that was a good punt return, but it was also very lucky. It wasn't as if the coverage was bad. It was almost as if the coverage was too good, and Racey McMath decided not to murder him. He probably should have just hit him and took the targeting, okay? She said, all I was saying was everyone always says we're going to be Bama, yet the score always been okay, I see what you're saying, DRC. We got lucky on that muff punt. Oh, where the punt returner dropped it. Yeah, that's true. Okay, include that in there. All right, so 14 points in the game. We're kind of fluky. All right. Then we get up by 20. Then the second half began. They punt, we had a turnover, so on and so on. However, on 4th and 1 at the Bama 44-yard line, I think it was. So their territory on 4th and 1 with the greatest quarterback of all time, running back who was best game of his career, we decided to punt on 4th and 1. If we don't punt that football, we more than likely convert that 4th down. We had gotten a yard on 80% of the plays that we had run up to that point. Now, obviously, short yardage, it changes things, but still, we likely convert that, and we likely go on to score. Instead, we punt and allowed them to come back into the game. But for Bama to get back in the game, they completed not one, not two, but 3 4th-down conversions to even keep that game close. So it wasn't as if Bama, played LSU unbelievably that day. They did not play their best, and LSU played their absolute best. It took some Herculean stuff from Tua and Jerry Jeudy, and obviously most notably Devonta Smith, for them to even get back into that game. So this is how I've always felt about the 2019 season, and the two most iconic wins of the season are obviously Alabama and Clemson. So the Alabama game was a blowout that was close, okay? The Clemson game was a game that was played more closely that ended up being a blowout, if that makes sense. Clemson had not one but 2 opportunities in the third quarter of that game to take the lead. They dropped a pick 6, and Justin Ross missed a block that would have sprung Travis Etienne, Trevor's younger brother, Travis Etienne, for a 60-yard touchdown. But he missed a block, and Patrick Queen was able to make a touchdown-saving tackle. Clemson really crapped the bed in that game. Our offensive line could not protect them consistently. We converted, I think, 5 different 3rd and 10s or more. And on top of that, Trevor Lawrence just played awful. And that would be my biggest concern. If you just happen to be a Jacksonville Jaguars fan watching this, I just don't know outside of the Bama National Championship game where Trevor Lawrence just played lights out against a big-time opponent that had a bunch of NFL athletes. That is my biggest concern because, last I checked, Justin Fields viciously outplayed him and Joe Burrow viciously outplayed him. And obviously, football's a team game. It's more than just that. But I mean viciously. PJ, you're probably right. We won the game. Let it go. Yeah, PJ. I know, DRC. It was just fun that we won. So, PJ, you're probably right. But I was just agreeing with Hitstick. He said what I actually believe. And I know a lot of Bama fans watching this would probably say it was a 5-point game. The score is the score. And you're probably right. But, to me, the score is not always a score. We should try to keep Carter on the stream for 24 hours. Hey, if the super chats are still going, hey, does not mind. Let's see. We'll end this thing here in a few minutes, unless we do get a super chat, Venmo, or Cash App. Yeah, Chuck B is a different level. Or Chuck B, should I call you by your actual name? Because I have your actual name. I never thought Chuck B would be this name, though. Are you trying to be Charles Barkley? Is that what's going on here? And it's for anonymity? For sure, Chuck B. DRC says the same thing. That's just terrible. Bo, I can't wait to have the Mama's Fried Chicken, man. I cannot wait. I think about it all the time. I really do. I really, really do. It's so good. It's so good. And then the funny thing is, I don't even get fried chicken there. I get the chicken tenders from Mama Fried Chicken. Working and listening. That's good, man. Get the gat all day. Dude, the tenders are so legit. That lemonade, man, after that lemonade and tenders, woo! The 2-piece. So I've actually had Mama's Fried Chicken, the actual fried chicken, and it is actually the best fried chicken. But I don't know. So here's why I get the tenders, okay? Here's why I get the tenders. It's because oftentimes, if I'm driving in from Baton Rouge, I have to pick up the Mama's Fried Chicken and actually eat in the car, okay? And you got to kind of eat in a rush because, you still have an hour or left in the drive from Opelousas to BR. So, fried chicken's kind of one of those things where I don't want to eat it fast. I want to enjoy it. my chicken's tenders. Tenders are better than the actual fried chicken. And fried chicken's the best fried chicken I've ever had. So I think peak fried food is at Mama's Fried Chicken because you not only get that, get the fried pickles with it, and that roll, and that sauce, and that lemonade. I don't want lemonade unless it clogs up your throat. I don't want it. I want lemonade to where it's impossible to do a 5-minute live stream after you're done drinking it. I want it clogged. You know what I'm talking about whenever you drink lemonade? It just it's thick. It's thick. You see, Leonard, you know what I'm talking about. Leonard's at work fixing some electrical wires, and he had to throw the electrical wires down and say amen to that lemonade comment. Lemonade's got to be thick. It's got to be thick. The big thing for me growing up was drinking Jungle Juice. Now, I don't know if you guys know about Jungle Juice. Jungle Juice had some amazing thickness to it. No, it was for me. It could be different. But Leonard's talking about the fried chicken thing. Yeah, fried chicken's one of those things where you want to take your time. TJ Reed, there you go. TJ hasn't commented yet, but he came in at that. I love thick lemonade. I gotta get that lemonade thick. Yeah, it isn't real life. The 2019 team was not real life. 7 touchdowns in the first half against Oklahoma. Who does that? Justin Jefferson. So iconic. So iconic. And then Joe Burrow. Right there, baby. Well, all right, guys. We'll go on ahead and round this thing on up. Guys, thank you so much. Obviously, this was a little bit different. I honestly thought about hitting in stream. There's a little button down here that you click to say in live stream. I thought about doing it. 5 minutes in. And it was the worst. It was the worst. And I thank you guys for the messages about that. So we will see you guys. The next live stream will be Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central. If you can't make that live stream, we have the live stream on Sunday night. That's kind of a film study live stream like we did this past week. Tomorrow, I have a video posted at 5:30 p.m. Central. It's always LSU football related. So we'll see you tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Central. Oh, my daughter was born the day after the national championship game. That's great. That is really great. That's a fun experience. I was at the Oklahoma game in GA. CD really got shut down. You know what? That's kind of true, but CD had a nasty move on Sting in the red zone in that game, and Jalen Hurts just missed him. It was a filthy route, and then CD dropped a touchdown in garbage time. But for the most part, outside of those two things, Sting and those guys really did a good job against them. We will see ya tomorrow at 5:30 Central. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. We actually did pizza tonight. Let's go.